Hi, it's Friday night, it's bank holiday weekend, so I'm going to be doing a brew tomorrow. I want to get started quite early, so now I'm just filling the kettle, give the temperature time to warm up, or give the water time to warm up, ready for brewing tomorrow morning. The plan is to do a Belgian Trappist beer. It's going to be quite strong, perhaps 7.5% maybe. At the moment the brewery is quite a mess, but that will all be cleaned up by the time I start brewing tomorrow. Can't possibly brew with all this mess in the way. Okay, I'm just weighing out some of the malt, so I've just used up a bag of Maris Otter. I keep wanting to call it Maris Piper, but it's not potatoes, it's grain, so it's Maris Otter. So 4 kilos in there. I'm going to carry on weighing some out. I've got another bag of pale malt, so I'll probably weigh out another 4 kilos of that. I have Munich malt, 2 kilos, and I have some malt that has now expired, but I'm probably just going to use it anyway. So that's English Carroll malt, best before end of Feb 2020, and I've got some amber malt. That was July 2019, but I'm going to use it anyway. Hope it won't taste too bad. And if I want to top up some more, I've got some Chateau Cara Ruby. I bought this because I thought it'd be perfect for a Belgian beer. And if I want to add any depth, darkness to it, then I've got some chocolate malt. But you've got to go very, very easy on that. So I'll carry on measuring out. Okay, so just going to measure out another 4 kilos of pale malt. Just turn that back on because it's gone off, and 0. Okay. That's 1.1. Do it a bit slower, otherwise dust just goes everywhere. I'm not actually following a recipe, so I don't have to get the measurements spot on. However it turns out, that's how it turns out. If it turns out well, then great. Okay, that's 4 pretty much. Take a little out. Yeah, that's close enough. So that's around about 8 kilos of pale malt. So very light in colour. So what is essentially the basis for a pale ale, or pale ale. Okay, so 4 kilos plus 4 kilos. Very important to keep a note of what you're actually putting in. And this is the 2 kilos of Munich malt. 212, so 12 is going to be the bag pretty much. Put that straight in, I'm not even going to weigh it outside of the bag. Now up to 10 kilos of grain. I'm going to carry on. got the English caramel malt, shows 514, so I'm just going to call it 500 grams of caramel malt, or Cara malt. That's got a EBC of 64.6, which is the measurement of colour. So pale malt measures about 3 to 6. This caramel is 64, and the chocolate one, so this one is 900. So it's all, I don't know how they measure it, what the standard is. And this amber malt, the bag's quite heavy and there's not a lot of malt, so I will weigh that. That's 420 grams. And this has got an EBC of 55. Is it 420? Of amber. 55. So that's probably going to be it. So that's, what's that, 8, 10, just under 11 kilos. I'm not going to put in the Cara Ruby, I'll save that for another time. What I have got is this, which is an invert sugar, so it's like, it's a bit like golden syrup really, so it's highly fermentable, and I've made it out of sugar on the stove. I've just boiled it for a period of time, added lemon juice, and that does some jiggery pokery to it, and yeah, that adds some nice caramel flavours, what you might expect from a Belgian beer. It's actually a solid block. It was obviously granular, and it's changed colour due to the cooking. Okay, so now that's a big bucket of grain, so I'll close it down for now and end up brewing with it tomorrow. Morning, today is Saturday, it's brew day, so this is when we're going to be doing the Belgian Trappist style beer, but arguably the most important brew of the day is cup of tea. Right, okay, so let's go back to the Wonky shed, which is the brewery, and literally it is just a shed, so nothing special to look at. Chili peppers, that's another pastime, another hobby. Okay, so that's the full boiler, Lortan, with the mash tun. It's got a spar drum on top, and once we've done the mashing, then it will all go to the boiler to boil with hops for 90 minutes. Then we bring it down to temperature and it goes into the conical fermenter, where it will spend around about 3 weeks, perhaps a little bit longer. Being conical, I can filter off the dead yeast from the bottom, so it should keep it in top condition. At the moment the kettle's up at 22 degrees C, so hopefully that won't be long. We'll just bring it up to 80 degrees. Essentially I can just leave it to do its thing. Okay, so the boiler, I had the temperature set wrong, so it says 87.1 there, I was a little bit concerned at first because before we'd even started boiling it was showing at 18 degrees. Now the temperature sensor is down in that tap down there, and there's quite a long thermo well, and that protrudes a good few inches into the boiler itself, so it's taking the temperature from the bottom. But when I use my handheld one just for a sanity check, that's straight to 87.2. Right, okay, so with the water up to temperature I need to warm up the mash tun, and at the same time I'm going to flush it through. So obviously make sure everything's connected before we start pumping hot water everywhere. Shut off taps where we don't want the brew to actually go to. So it needs to come out of this tap here, so that is now open. It's going to pump back up to this T-piece. I want it to go round into a coil that I've got suspended in there that's acting as a heat exchanger. It's going to go right round the system again. I don't want it to come out of this pipe because that's the other pump, and certainly don't want it to come out of here because that goes to the boiler where we boil the wort. And it's going back down and into the mash tun and not this way. So I think we're good. All the taps are open and closed where needed, so hopefully it's not going to spray everywhere. Sometimes it takes a little while to come through. Ah, that one needs to be open, that helps. And at some point shortly, there we go. So that's going into the mash tun. There's a, oh shit, now this tap, always going to spill something, guaranteed, without fail. So there's going to be a bit of a clean up. Okay. So I've flushed around one set of pipes. Now I just need to, on one pump, I just need to flush through the second pump on the mash tun outlet. And literally just recirculate that back into itself, just to make sure that those pumps or those lines are clean. So I've got another control for that pump. Need to watch that line because it can come out pretty quick, and you don't want that flying all over the place. So that's coming out the mash tun there, straight down to this pump. And then back up this line. That tap is open to allow it past the up pipe. The pipes further up to recirculate to the boiler or to both boilers. They're both closed, and it just recirculates back down here. So there's quite a lot of power there. So a good pump. Because that water's a good 85 degrees, that'll give the pipes a good clean. They've had the clean anyway after the last use, but this just sterilises. And I'm just getting rid of that water. I'm going to dispose of it. It's going into a dirty bucket. It's been outside, but I'm not going to reuse that water because it's been used to flush the lines out. While that's emptying, I'm just topping up the water in the HLT, which is the hot liquor tank. Liquor is just your hot water. And as the cold water is going in, it's obviously dropped the temperature of the HLT, but the light is on, so it is Going to bring it back up to 80 degrees again. Last brew I did, I went away, came back and the whole thing was overflowing, so I'm not going to do that this time. Okay, so the mash tun's almost finished draining, and I've refilled the HLT to about 4 inches from the top, 4 or 5 inches from the top. It's not going to be boiling, so it doesn't matter, it can be high. Just need to give this a tip just to empty the last dregs out the bottom. Okay, so this mash tun is 50 litre, so there's no markings on the inside, so it is purely guesswork. So you can see the mash temperature there, so that water's now down to approaching 60 degrees in there, so I'm going to stop it about now, I think. So it's less than half full. There's some space under the false bottom. Actually, I will go a little bit more, but I can always add extra water if need be. What I don't want to do is get all my grain in there, which is going to be quite a high quantity, and then finds that the water's overflowing. So I'll just carry on topping that up. That should just about do it, I think. Okay, I've got my grain. It's in this big bucket, but I'm just going to put it in a few scoops at a time to start with. This process is called doughing in. This might take a while, I might actually pour it from the bucket. I'm just lazy, couldn't be bothered to pick it up. So we worked out there's about 12 kilograms of grain, so we should have actually had about 2.5 litres of water per kilogram. So you do the math. 12, 24, 30, should have had 30 litres of water. But as I say, we can always add more. To start with, it's just like a porridge, a very loose porridge, but it smells of Maltesers. But you don't want to add it too quickly, otherwise you end up with big dough balls. I think we're okay with that one, but certainly as the liquid gets thicker, then you run a greater risk of the dough balls. So just got to be careful. They're quite difficult to loosen up. Okay, nearly done with the doughing in. There's just one more load. Just one more batch to spread out. I'm just looking for lumps at the moment. It's important not to stir it too much, otherwise you break down the grain and it just becomes bitty and dusty, and it's not ideal. Okay, so that was a lot more than I should have done in one go there, which I can probably demonstrate the dough balls, unintentionally obviously. this, I can just clean off the sides a little bit. Too much. So I'm just going to forget the step mash and just get the temperature back up to regular mashing temperature, so about 68 degrees I'm looking for, and I can do that by recycling back round through this heat exchanger in there. That's at 80, so it should bring it up to where I want it to be. Okay, so had a disaster. I was recirculating through this pipe and as it came through around the heat exchanger back up there, there's an outlet from the brew kettle which goes up to allow you to get water to the mash tun, but what it actually did is go recirculate round and then go back in the pipe there into the tap there, and as you can see I now have beer in the hot liquor tank, so I don't know how this is going to turn out now. It's probably ruined, so not happy at all. So when it comes to sparging, well, I'm going to mash this as it is. I'm still getting the temperature up. I've fixed my problem for now, obviously just by turning off the outlet to the boiler there. I shall need to install a tap before my next brew somewhere on this pipe, so I can stop anything, or stop stuff going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to do a full mash. Once that's to temperature I'll give it about an hour, and then when it comes to sparging, which is rinsing the grains with fresh hot water via that spinning arm there, I'll just have to flush all this water, this purified Wort type water, and then just hope for the best. We'll see how it turns out. So 64 degrees now, lens is a bit steamy. Hopefully that won't take too long to get to temperature, and then I can just leave it. What I'm actually thinking of doing is I might add a few grams of chocolate malt just to make it a little bit of a darker, complex beer. So literally I've got 45 grams here. I'd rather it make no difference than overpower it. So colour if nothing else. I can actually smell that already. Just that little bit, it's got a toasty coffee smell coming from it. It's actually very nice. Okay, now I'm going to remove this recirculation pipe. Strain that off into there. So we'll see. And this time we're going to attach the sparge arm to it. It's not pretty, but it's homemade and it works. Okay, so just make sure we've got everything. So whilst that's sparging, it's also going to send the wort into the boiler. So you need to open that one, close that one, open that, close that, because that's just going to be clean water going through there. So the wort comes out the mash tun, straight up this pipe, cannot go back that way, and ends up coming out of this pipe here. So should be fine. We don't want it to come out at maximum rate. If it does, then I don't know if you can see it comes out at maximum rate, then it's going to be way too quick. Oh, but that's close, so it can't come out. So there you go, that's way too quick. And what will happen is this will all flatten down and we'll end up with the dry bed and all cracks in it. So we won't be able to rinse the grains, because all the water will just go straight through the cracks. So as the wort is going into the boiler, we have clean water which is sparging. Should rotate, but the taps aren't open enough. So hopefully we can. Yep, that's now going round in there. Just got very messy doing that. Okay, so that's a nice darkish colour. It's relatively clear, it could be better. Okay, so boil completed, so I've just got a hose going from the boiler to the fermenter. The hose goes right to the bottom of the cone, so it will siphon the entirety of the wort from the boiler.